Up next is Michelle Snyder, founder of FREA, Foundation for Research of the Enseman Archives. FREA is a group of people dedicated to research, publishing, and preserving the archives of Dr. and Mrs. Enseman, who changed the face of art technology and military defense with their work in space technology, planetology, computer programming, radar, and missile defense systems. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I explained a little bit to our viewers about what FREA is, but tell us about your launch event, your first event that you had, and what its purpose was, and how did it go?
Well, it went great, and it was good to have you there. The launch was set up because we have in the past published other things from the vast archive, but the nonprofit allowed us to get editors and writers in to deal with a variety of the subject matters that are there. And we wanted to publish a quarterly. So the launch event was because we got our first quarterly done. And it's like a excerpt from different areas of information from the archive, and we will be doing these 4 times a year. So the launch event was to celebrate its release and to make it known and to invite particular people in there who would be interested in seeing the material that's in it.
So you had an exciting person there, Blair Dewitt, the founder of Lunar Station.
Yes, we met you through Blair Dewitt, actually, and he came and shared with us what Lunar Station Corporation is doing, and that was really exciting. And it's very timely because the information in the archive is predominantly about the space technology that was happening when Enseman was working with von Braun and Bussard and Goddard's grand design. So we found it very exciting to meet and
how did you start working with Dr. Enseman?
That's an interesting question. In 1988, he contacted Jay because Jay was was the campaign manager for a presidential primary. And Enseman was working with the Voyager, which at the time was supposed to be a chain out instead of the one that they ended up with. And he wanted to get in touch with the presidential candidate about giving him television feed from Voyager. But that meeting did not work out. Enseman was not treated very well, and it was too much campaign, not enough about him. And so our relationship built from there. And he was my thesis advisor through my thesis, and we just built a great relationship, and he shared with us some things from the archive then, which we didn't know how big this archive was then. So it's been several decades that we've been working with him.
At your launch event, you gave away a painting. That amazing painting. Who actually won the painting?
Actually, no one bid on the painting, so we're going to do an eBay auction.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Yeah, we did give away some things. The painting was for auction to raise money for FREA. It was a painting of a very rough design concept in 1949 of the Enseman torch starships. So the date on it is extraordinary. 1949, this man was thinking about how to put people out there interstellar.
And you also, at the event, talked about some symbolology. That was
what
very
my thesis
interesting.
Was in. Dr. Enseman, during his boredom as a rocket scientist, don't ask me when that happened, he worked for several decades and translated the Ice Age inscriptions from 12,500 BC from the Gonnersdorf area, which is where Germany is. And we have published those translations, but because he did that, we can take symbols like the RX back to that time. At 12,500 BC, there is a symbol etched onto a stone that means medicine lady and medicine. And I was hooked. I'm going, wow, that is incredible. So Dan Brown's book, The Da Vinci Code, came out that year, and I was in a wheelchair then. And I was not accustomed to being in a wheelchair. This does not sit well with me.
Oh no, what happened?
They thought it was muscular dystrophy, but it's not, which I'm happy because I'm now better instead of worse.
Now you're walking and you're doing good.
So while I was doing that, and I had 3 teenagers and a husband, I decided it was time to get my master's degree. So I asked Bob if he would help me. And Robert Langdon was a symbologist. I said, now that is cool. I have to do that. So that's what I did. So since then, I have pursued that and written books on that subject. But
and you've written many books.
Yeah, I have 14 books out of my own. Some of them are fantasy fiction based on the things that I learned about Earth back then, and based on the meanings of things like mermaids, where I understand what that symbol actually came from and all of that. But I also have books on symbology, which really it has Bob's work in it. It's where I introduced some of the simple Ice Age language things to read, like the Birth of Lorelei. So, but that we were doing anyway. FREA is because we need to grow the company of people that work on these tremendous archives. I'm not a physicist, I'm a symbologist and a publisher. And there's a huge amount of content to be published, and we needed people who had better knowledge of history and better knowledge of physics and math and astronomy to help us come in and sort these very unorganized pages out. There's 250,000 paper pages, handwritten, some of it on typewriters, some of it on dot matrix, and then there are hundreds of electronic Word files. And there are hundreds of regular published books that he has written notes in, okay? And then there's thousands of pictures. So we really need to get this stuff published, and that's what the Endeavor does. It takes something from this one and something from that one, and like a serial publication, his stories, he writes wonderful sci-fi stories about what would happen on a starship.
I have a copy of Endeavor, and it was very informative. Beautiful pictures in there. You did a wonderful job.
Well, thank you very
so
much.
full of such good information. Please share with our viewers, what is FREA's vision?
It's twofold. We need to preserve and publish the information in the archive. That is the purpose of FREA. We've bought a scanner so that we can actually get digital pictures of all of this paper because it's irreplaceable, and some of it's very old. And we have a vision of being able to purchase and build a facility that has a telescope and a megalith in the yard, because he goes from the Ice Age to the Space Age, and to him it's all one thing. They were studying the stars back then, and he's quite sure they were wondering how they could get off the planet. It makes sense to him. So we would like to have a facility where we could build a museum gallery, because you saw some of the artifacts. It's extraordinary, the things that we have to show. So we kind of need to build this facility, and that's our dream, is to have this where the public can come in, they can see the shows that we put together with the artifacts, they can enjoy the telescope and the megalith, and we can conduct classes and seminars there. It would be great.
Well, your launch event was a wonderful event. I learned so much. I see your passion, and there were a lot of people there with science and space and all passionate about the future of FREA, and I hope that...
It's pretty funny. His daughter Heidi was there, and his son Alex, who works at MITRE, he was there. And so we're up there and we're talking about these two wonderful people, Joanna and Robert Enseman, and they kept giggling and looking at each other and going, wow, they sound like really interesting people. You know, they're just their parents. They didn't think of them that way. It was pretty funny. They're chuckling at each other. Wow, they sound like really interesting people. I thought that was great. And we've had some good feedback. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it, and let us know when your next event is. We will be there to support you and help you to grow FREA and all your efforts. So
Well,
thank you so much for being on the show today.
I really appreciate the support that we've gotten from New England Sci-Tech is very involved, and Lunar Station Corporation. They've been very enthusiastic, and that enthusiasm really helps us a lot. It takes a lot of energy to try to do this and get it off the ground.
Well, you're going to make it happen, and I'm so glad that they have you, because you have all that passion. The event was great, and let us know when the next event is.
I shall do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.